Welcome.
Hello and welcome to OzLoL Podcast, episode 76. My name's Colossus. I am host of the show, and this week we've got a lot to talk about with OPL Week 3. We've got patch 5.4, and we've got the reveal of a new champion. And to help me with that, I've got three great guys. I got Scott. He's not going to say anything. He said
Hello.
he waved for the benefit of the podcast.
Yeah, I think audio-based medium's generally better if you just don't say anything.
Absolutely.
Let's just do it. Let's do a mime show where we just like with fake walls and like riding a bicycle and going downstairs and all the rest of it. But that was the voice, the dulcet tones of Stephen Carstone.
Bonjour.
And we've got Victor Bradley.
I'm back.
He
Damn.
is.
Damn.
We tried to get rid of him. Really, we did.
You replaced me with, like, some nude guy.
Yeah, it was
Piano.
Jeff Goldblum.
Hey,
That's an honor, man.
I couldn't
He did
see it
your
on my
job better.
phone. He
Jeff
did.
Goldblum.
He kept his fucking mouth shut.
Yeah.
All right, well,
Slightly higher chance of keeping his clothes on, but hey.
we should. Yeah, no, let's not talk about nudity and Twitch. That gets us into trouble. All right, if you want to check out our website, it's OzLoL.TrinityForcePodcast.com. You should go there because we might have a new website coming sometime soon. Just letting you know. So you go enjoy the glories of the old website before it's gone. You can get all our past episodes and all links and whatnot. Don't forget that Battle Arena is on Friday with Trippy Guy and Archer Deron, and I want to give a big shout out to those guys for doing some very good work. And yeah, that's it. Let's get all that show news stuff out of the way. Let's talk about OPL. Actually, do you want to do OPL or Bard first?
I guess we'll start with OPL.
Let's start OPL, okay.
Previously.
So this week, of course, spoilers. This week, week 3, Chiefs and Direwolves both went 2-0. Legacy, not Direwolves, they went 2-0. Legacy, Immunity, Avant, and Sudden Fear all went 1-1. And Rich Gang and Fortnite went 0 and 2.
You can tell we've rehearsed this bit.
Yeah. I when I was writing all this down, I had like the wrong bit of the schedule lined up with the results. So
Oh,
I was
no.
like, hang on, how is only that Chiefs, Direwolves, and Legacy and Immunity were playing last week?
I have it all written down. Just ask.
That's all good. It's all good. So let's talk about some. First, I want to say Chiefs sitting on top still. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I've got to say that Chiefs versus Rich Gang was much, much closer than most people would have anticipated. Like Rich Gang, they performed very well throughout the Challenger Series coming up, and that was the team that I was looking forward to seeing perform the most when OPL actually started. And they haven't really disappointed me at all. I think Rich Gang have been doing quite well. Their gimmick is still making me laugh every time I see one of their tweets or anything. Love that. I love it. I love that kind of personality. It's hilarious. And their actual in-game play has been very good.
apart from getting beaten by Sudden Fear.
Well, yeah, but
Holy
It's-
cow, that happened?
Yeah.
but their play versus versus Chiefs really, really good. Like it went to what 50 something. I think it even went longer than 50 minutes.
And I recall the last time they played Chiefs, they did pretty well against them as well. So
Yeah, like
I think it's the
you know,
first time that
I've-
they've sort of taken it to Chiefs to sort of push them.
Yeah, like I'm looking at a 50-minute game here, and they're both at 77k. Like at the 50-minute mark. That's very impressive for a team to have come up through the challenger rankings, qualified, and then taking on well, hands down.
Yeah, the
top
best team.
in the
Yeah.
league. Yeah. Now they didn't win,
Indisputably.
but the fact that it was so close is huge. It just
And-
goes to show how
And
close.
with a sub. They had a sub in the top lane.
Oh well, then it's all him. Then we can just
Yeah.
just give him all the credit.
that's it.
fine.
What was we saying? So also, I mean, we have Direwolves. Let's talk about Direwolves. So they beat Legacy, which is a big deal because Legacy and Direwolves up until that point were both sharing number 2 slot as well as being Fortnite. But I mean, I think at this stage, going 0-6 Fortnite's probably going to have a pretty rough season, a rough split. But beating Legacy is a pretty big thing to get that sort of holding that number 2 spot. How do you guys think they went in that game?
Hang on. Which
Legacy
one?
versus Direwolves.
Oh, Legacy versus Direwolf. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So from the Thursday game.
Yep, Thursday games.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to remember the details of that game. Who'd they have? That was the Hecarim game, wasn't it? Hecarim, Jinx. These were. Am I thinking of the right game? Someone back me up. No one knows, do they? Hang on, let me
I
just
actually
look.
honestly didn't get a chance to watch them. Well, I
Okay.
did have a chance to watch them. I chose to do other things, so I'm really bad this week. Did anybody else apart from Steve watch the OPL this week?
Wait. There's an OPL?
I watched the Fortnite games.
Oh God.
Oh, Steve, how about your thoughts? Since everybody else has failed in their job
Ooh,
on the
can I
podcast,
listen
we're
to
all
Steve?
fired.
This is great.
Oh, don't listen to Steve right now. Yeah, well, Direwolf's first pick Hecarim, which I thought was quite good. Direwolves have obviously been practicing with the Hecarim. Rek'Sai, Janna, Severe Azir versus Morgana, Lee Sin, Thresh, Jinx, and LeBlanc. So the Hecarim pick is a comfort pick for Direwolves. It's teetered on the edge of the metagame viability in some regions, but Direwolves really do like it. All in all, their drafting was quite good. Their bans were really good, and I'm really struggling to remember the details of the game. Damn, why do none of you have anything else to say?
I'm waiting for my special segment.
Oh, you want to talk about... Let's move on to Fortnite, because I'm trying to remember the Direwolf.
Fortnite watch. Okay.
All right, it's time for everyone's favorite segment of the OzLoL podcast. It's
Yes.
Fortnite Watch with Victor.
That's clearly the most important
That
segment.
is, exactly.
So as we all know, I'm watching the Fortnite games and pretending I'm their coach, even though I'm not. So
How is that going? Are you their coach yet?
no, they still have not contacted me and demanded that I coach them. But I tell
How
you,
dare they?
Fortnite, although they're still picking like garbage, they picked with synergy this week. That's amazing, because I remember a previous game where they picked with complete lack of synergy. And they picked champions that do have synergy. They picked a champion that can properly ball carry, Diana. Even though Diana is crap in the patch they played on, and the buffs did not come through yet, I think they didn't realize that the tournament client is a patch behind when they played. So,
Well, I think we've seen Diana in the OPL before as well. I'm pretty sure it might have been Fortnite, so it must be a comfort pick.
I think every pick in Fortnite is a comfort pick. To
Well,
be honest, I mean
yeah, okay.
between the Orianna coming up every single game, just about, with the exception of maybe two, and the amount of times Wukong pops up, and the that niche Amumu pick that came up in the Challenger games, most of their picks pretty terrible. Although the jungler finally went back to Lee Sin, which he's not that bad on. He's not that bad on Lee Sin. In fact, I was more impressed with his Lee Sin play when I first saw it than his Wukong play. I'm not very impressed at all at his Wukong play. I don't know why people keep banning it from him. Especially considering Wukong's not really a competitive champion. So,
Yeah. I think it's because of that unknown factor. Like, because only they play it, you don't get to practice against it very often. And you're like, would rather practice against champions that are in viability, and we'll ban out the really obscure ones that they sometimes play, so that we know that we're prepared for whatever comes at us.
Yeah.
And it's the same in that exact same game that you're talking about with the Diana pickup. They banned Hecarim versus the Dire Wolves, so they've obviously done something very similar.
yeah. So,
And if they're picking Orianna regularly, then Wukong's a great ball carrier. Like, he's one of the best. So, it's a bit like, I mean, Swain, for example, like Cheese, like little cutie Cheese on Immunity. Like, I mean, he's really good on Swain, even though Swain's not a competitive pick. Like, it's worth considering banning Swain, because he's just that good that he can take a second-rate champion and just absolutely destroy another team with him. So,
yeah.
Just
Right.
on the Swain pick, like, if you notice that we've picked Swain twice in the games, and both times we were against a Callista, and we had every single champion was exactly the same in our team composition. Malphite and Swain together is a bit weird. You're like, okay, so one of them slowly walks and the other one dashes in. But if you combine that with the rest, what is it? Janna, Severe, Jarvan, they're all about getting picks, locking people down, early aggression, mid-game transition, like all of that sort of stuff. And that's an environment that Swain really excels in. Also, Swain is just a point-and-click champion for his main two target. Like, he's got a targeting ability, Q and his E. And they're both damages over time, and that's really good at locking down a Kalista. Like, you just go, all right, done. And if she starts
especially
bouncing
on follow-up from an unstoppable force.
Precisely. Well, you can
That's
do
just
the never
puts you in the
move. Never move right on top of that unstoppable force and the Jarvan ult. Like, just, there's a lot of really good team synergy, even though Swain is not even remotely considered a metagame champion at the moment. That with that specific combination of champions against probably the most overpowered AD that we've seen in quite some time, Kalista, it's very good in those very specific circumstances.
Maybe sort of quickly touch on how Avant went. I mean, they beat Sudden Fear, they got beaten by Chiefs, but how were they looking overall? Like, as I said, I didn't get a chance to watch, but
I'd say they've improved this week compared to how they've been recently. Like, because Avant got off to a bit of a shaky start. I feel like they looked very sloppy in quite a lot of places, and part of that is, you got to get used to dealing with new members of the team, and it's I mean, they've dealt with like the live events and all that sort of stuff before, so you can't really put jitters on that. It's so I think they're still trying to get used to the whole teamwork and fighting together, because that seems to be where they seem to be struggling just a little bit. It is in their coordination, whereas you see some teams, they're like, everybody knows exactly who's going to target what, who's going to leap over what wall. That's but I think they're improving in that regard.
okay. Is there anything else you guys want to add before we sort of maybe move on to talk about Bard? I'll give the standings in a sec, but okay, well, actually the standings: Chiefs 6-0, number 1, Divals 5-1, Legacy 4-2, Immunity 3-all, the 3-3, or 3-all, since it's not. Anyway, no, it's good. Top 4 for Immunity. Avant 2-4, Rich Gang 2-4, Sudden Fear 2-4. Which, that's interesting that those three teams are tied. Like, I guess the sort of it seems to be people's thoughts that Rich Gang are a great team, but they're actually sitting at the same position as Avant and Sudden Fear, and then 4-0 and 0-6. So,
it's the kaboom effect. They're not that good, but everyone thinks they are.
I think something that needs to be considered is who's fought Chiefs and who hasn't.
I think Chiefs have beaten both Direwolves and Legacy. So Legacy got beaten by Direwolves and Chiefs. Just trying to think. They probably would have. There's only one other team they wouldn't have played yet. They've beaten Avant. They've beaten Legacy. They've beaten Chiefs. They've beaten Immunity. They've beaten Rich Gang. So it must be Sudden Fear or 4-0. I don't think they've played 4-0. So
that's going to bode well.
Say again?
The 6-0 team versus the 0-6 team.
Yeah.
Hey, don't worry. 4-0 are going to pick me up soon as their coach.
That's all right.
And then we're going to win Worlds.
That's it. You're just going to crush them. It's just as simple as that.
Yeah. So coming this week, so we got Immunity versus Chiefs and Immunity versus Direwolves. So that's that will be a good game. And what else we got that's worth probably Rich Gang versus Legacy. Actually, probably and Rich Gang Legacy versus Avant. That'll be interesting to see. Because you've got the two teams that are in the same position, who are probably vying for that 4th spot along with Immunity. Like to see if they can not jump a win against the third team. So yeah, definitely worth checking out. All right, well let's talk about Bard. So this morning, Australian time anyway, it was out in the interwebs. Bard, the Wandering Caretaker, is the next champion. He's a roaming support. So it looks like from the ground up he's designed to be a roaming support. I am really, really, really pumped for this champion. I'm like I've been playing quite a bit of Skyrim because I've just been like, League. I saw this and I'm like, as soon as this guy shows up, I'm playing League again because he looks like a ton of fun. So
Yeah, because you can do exactly the same thing you were doing in Skyrim. Just wander around and do whatever.
yeah, blow stuff up. Yeah, right. So his key abilities. So he's passive. What allows him to be a roaming champion is he's got a passive that causes. It's called Traveler's Call. There's two parts to it. Ancient Chimes. So Bard's presence causes ancient chimes to appear in the fields of justice. Collecting a chime grants Bard a brief burst of movement speed, experience, and mana. So it looks like these chimes will be in the jungle. And then he's also got Meeps, which is these little small spirits, which if they did a Totoro... like one of the thing about his visuals, it's very Studio Ghibli. If you've ever seen My Neighbor Totoro or any of those, like it's just... And even like, he doesn't talk, he just makes sound. And all of it sounds like it's ripped straight out of Studio Ghibli. And if they did a Totoro skin for this guy, I would run to Sydney just to give them my money in person. Because they have the little black dudes chasing after him. Anyway, I love
What are
My
you
Neighbor
talking
Totoro.
about?
It's a movie! My Neighbor Totoro is like the best kids movie ever made.
Yeah,
If you haven't seen it, you've done yourself a disservice. Go out and see it. Anyway, Meeps.
My fiance and I have been watching it a lot lately, so.
I love that movie so much. There's actually like a Studio Ghibli shops in Japan, and I bought so much Totoro swag. Anyway, Meeps. I'll go get the hat in a sec. Meeps. Bard's presence attracts small spirits known as Meeps to his side. Whenever Bard attacks, a Meep throws itself at his target, dealing extra damage before disappearing back into the spirit world. As Bard collects small chimes, the Meeps that follow him grow in both number and power. The main thing is, I think it's damage as well as a slow after you've collected a couple of Meeps. So,
Well, depending upon how many chimes you have, I think those Meeps do additional effects, and you can stack all the way up to 100. I haven't seen too much about it, but I think it's about 100. 100
Yay, Meeps!
Meeps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Meeps.
Another opportunity for Riot to make us like plushies and make an absolute fortune selling them.
Yeah. Well, this is actually really convenient. My fiance and I, last night, out of pure chance, were watching Princess Mononoke. So,
Mononoke?
yeah. We were purely out of chance. So, like, looking at those guys and she's freaked out about them, I'm gonna get into League of Legends just to play Bard!
Cool.
For those of you who are not familiar with this content,
Yeah.
awesome.
Neither am I.
Alright, I got my Totoro hat, so obviously you guys who are with me can't see it because I got my webcam on, but if
Damn
you turn
it!
onto the stream, you'll
No,
see
I
I'm wearing my Totoro hat. So looking at the PBE, so basically the first 5 chimes he gets gives him a 25% slow for 1 second, and then extra damage, and then, so basically it's a slowly increasing slow, and then more damage on his basic attack.
Spikes every 5 chimes.
Yeah. So
Now,
that's...
chimes are actually and currently they are the only ability. This is the only ability in the game that grants experience.
Yes.
No.
Yes, other than Nidalee's passive. Yes,
Yes.
hidden passive.
Yes.
Nidalee has a hidden passive involving getting
Yes.
experience.
Yes.
Yes, you
What
know
is
how
it?
Nidalee's
It's
a
great.
cougar.
It's great.
It's
You know how
literally
Nidalee's a
called
cougar?
Cougar.
When
What-
there's an ally with lower level than her, she gives them experience.
No,
But
isn't
she's-
it?
Oh, really?
When
No,
they're
she gives
lower
the-
level than higher.
She gives them experience when they're lower level.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because okay.
she's
No, in my
Now,
mind,
That's
I was-
hilarious.
Common misconception is that Zillion grants experience. Zillion doesn't grant experience. Zillion increases the experience you get.
Yeah, okay.
So this is the only thing in the game that grants a direct experience.
There you go. I mean, the fact that, like...
It's just to make up for his roaming,
Yeah.
because he won't be getting as much lane XP.
Steve, what's the analysis on the support taking teleports?
Don't do it. That's a bad decision.
Yeah, that would be bad. But, I mean, boots of mobility... Because these chimes give you a boost of movement speed, like, you take boots of mobility, it's quite feasible that you probably tear around the jungle pretty quickly. So, yeah, no, it's...
Item boots of mobility and immediately upgraded them with the alacrity and gemma just to make sure
Yeah.
that you get to your top lane before your top laner does.
That's it. Alright, so his Q is Cosmic Binding. Basically, it's a skill shot that deals damage, and it slows for a second. It also, if it hits another enemy or a wall, they're stunned for a second. So, quite interesting. lots of potential in the bottom lane. So in my mind, like if particularly I think for picking on a support, because the support's often in the bottom brush, you could easily tether them there all the time. So and probably also like ganks, like if you position yourself well when you get ganked, you can stun 2 people by lining them up. So.
Yeah, and if you can't line them up, you can always just throw one at one of the caster minions and make it hit them on the next way through, and you'll still get that stun off. Pro tips from Victor.
Yeah. Now let's see. It's also 60 mana, so it's not too bad. Caretaker Shrine is his W. Basically, it creates a health shrine, I guess, much like ARAM, that gets 30 to 150 health. It's got AP ratio. But it also increases the amount of health it gives over 10 seconds. The thing is, it's permanent. So until it's used. So basically, you can go to your lanes, put one down, and they can sit there until they need to be used. Which is pretty amazing.
It's not that long of a charge up on them too. You'll see them; they'll pop when they reach their maximum heal.
Yeah,
it's about 5 seconds, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah, 5, 6, 7 seconds. Something in that range.
Well, it says it gathers power for 10 seconds. That's what
the 10 seconds.
Yeah.
It says it.
Yep.
Huzzah for tips.
Keep in mind,
huzzah for saying things that are obviously written on the page that I've already said.
We need to keep in mind, by the way, that this is the PBE and numbers change.
Yeah, of course, numbers could change.
Only just hit, so.
But I mean, 70 health, even at level 1, 70 health is a lot of health. Like to just have sitting there waiting for you, and a speed boost. So. Yeah, tower diving with this guy, like trying to tower dive somebody on low health with this guy if they're running towards a shrine is going to be very difficult. And then this is where, so if that wasn't all interesting enough, this is where it gets super interesting. Magical Journey, which is just a great name, and so
Magical Journey.
I'm sure there's a Beatles song that could be. Yeah, it's like
Come on, guys,
it's like a Beatles album. It'd be cool if like a sitar played a bit like George Harrison when he passed through it, So 30 mana on all ranks, that's dirt cheap, so you're always going to be able to use it. Pretty long cooldown, but basically you create a one-way corridor through nearby terrain. Both allies and enemies can use the corridor by right-clicking on any part of it while near its entrance, with allies traveling faster than enemies, and it disappears after 10 seconds. So pretty much like a Rek'Sai tunnel, but like temporarily. But
if you thought Rek'Sai tunnels were absurd, how long they could go through walls?
Yeah.
Rek'Sai tunnel will pop out the shortest distance it can.
Yeah.
This thing goes straight the whole way, no matter how far, no matter how long that piece of terrain is.
Yeah.
It looks like they've had to break some of their own inbuilt mechanics to build this one.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to play around with, but hopefully I'm confident that I can finally go through that top wall and come out the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, like it's. I sort of think there's a picture on Surrender at 20, which is basically down on the bottom side near the Krugs, and it's pretty much the entire length of that wall that goes to the Tribrush. Like it's pretty cool. And even if you thought that, well, you said, oh man, that doesn't sound that interesting. This is where is even more interesting than that. His ultimate, Tempered Fate.
Whoa! Did you mention that allies can take the tunnels?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I
and enemies too.
And enemies too. Pretty quick, I'll be honest.
I'm like, that is huge.
Well, you didn't say anything.
Allies and enemies.
Yeah. Well, go, Steve. You give your thoughts.
No, that's such a massive deal. Like, you can completely fight for ward control in, say, the red side, red buff jungle. Just completely dominate them with vision. Set up a trap anywhere. Ace them and then immediately get Baron, or ace them and then immediately go past all the minion waves straight to their base. Like, just the distance that it covers, pretty damn amazing, but the fact that your team can take that is just incredible. Also, if you put it down and your enemy team are silly enough to follow you, you can just turn and kill them. Like, you know exactly what their travel time's going to be and where they're going to pop out.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
it's actually a bit like Dark Passage in that sense, but you can get your whole team through the one tunnel.
Yeah. The main thing is it's a skill shot. So it's not like I don't think it's like a rumble ult where you can place it and then position it. Essentially,
walk up to the wall.
Yeah, that's it. So it's not like you can't, like something like Dark Passage for threats. You can throw your lander to your jungler who is off by the Tribrush and drag him in. You can't do that with this. So it's basically You have to
It's
have your
from
allies
where you
with
are,
you.
yeah.
Yeah. Which is a bit different. But I mean, if you think about stuff like where you have to cut, like, I mean, a great example is if you're chasing somebody past the Baron pit and then moving up to the tri-brush, and it's such a long distance, you just cut them off at the pass. So there's probably a lot of clever ways that this can be used.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, probably one of the best. The thing for me is, as soon as which we'll obviously see when some play and whatnot comes out on the PBE, but from the demo video that was shown on the champion launch page, he actually immediately goes through it. For me, I think a stronger thing to do would be able to let him cast it through the wall and then bait, because they only last 10 seconds, get to maybe 8 seconds, and then have 4 or 5 enemies chase you, and then you go through it, and they all try to go through it, and only one follows you, and then you kill that one, and then you suddenly want to fight off that. That'd be interesting to see if you can do that.
Yeah.
Well, you can do that. We can do that with your allies. You can just go through, and you can have a teammate run around in circles, and then run to it, and then your teammate jumps through it.
And if you check the range on his ultimate, that's actually really, really good. And just as we transition into talking about his ultimate, I really do think this guy's name Bard is a bit silly. When you think about it, he could be called Zonya, the Wandering Caretaker. My God, this ultimate is huge.
Yeah. Basically, he throws an AoE effect that gives everybody in it Zonyas. But,
Enemy,
so,
ally, turret,
enemy, ally, monsters,
Nasher,
turrets. Yep.
dragon.
Yep.
All of it will get Zonya.
Yep. So they're invincible, untargetable, and unable to act for 2.5 seconds.
You know now that we've actually just started discussing all this guy's abilities, you know what it feels like? It feels like they've just grabbed, oh look, let's give you Flash, but make it for everyone. Okay, let's give you Sonya's Hourglass, but make it on everyone. Let's give you
the thing is that
healing relics from the
from
Howling Abyss, but
Yep.
make it for everyone. Let's give you Frost Queen's Claim, but make it on everyone.
the thing is though,
You get a Zonya's. Everybody gets a
I think this is one of those things. Like, it sounds really powerful, but I think in some ways it's quite situational because, you know, it's an AoE effect, so it's, you know, in the middle of a team fight, unless you want to Zonya's everybody that's fighting, which would be kind of hilarious. Like, just to Zonya's 9 people, just like they all have to sit there for 2.5 seconds. But it's...
And then you just dance.
Yeah. They're also... The thing is, they're
just
invincible
line up
and they're untargetable. Yeah. So it's not like a, you know, like Sejuani's ult where you stun everybody, or a Mumu where you stun everyone and you can hurt them. Essentially, you are getting them out of the game, but you're also their cooldowns are going down. So it's kind of... It sounds... I think at this stage, I mean, until I've seen how it's actually used, it kind of sounds cooler than what it actually might be.
Until I see how people are using this, to me, this is an ohm wrecker.
Yeah.
No, that is the nastiest thing you could possibly say about this. Okay, like seriously,
I'll have you know I appreciate ohm wrecker.
I will give you that. Your opinion on ohm wrecker is incorrect. So therefore, you're saying it's like ohm wrecker is not as big as an insult as others may interpret. But no, I just want you guys to consider. You've been aced. The enemy team have just finished clearing inhibitor minions. The enemy team rushed to Baron. Your team's still getting resurrected. You were the first to go down. You're on Bard. You run up to the Baron. It's about to go down. All of a sudden,
not up to the Baron. You run up to that long wall from the blue buff. You that. You ult the Baron. Baron's still sitting there. Then you throw some crazy shit at it. Pretend you're Victor out of nowhere.
Your entire team takes that tunnel. They come straight in and ace them.
Yeah.
There's nothing they can do to like they flash out of it before it hits. But once it hits, they're Zonya'd. They know they can't move. They can't cast spells. They can't flash. Nothing. They are stuck there. Like, from whichever side you're playing, this guy is an absolute, just complete domination over the Baron. Complete domination. No one can attempt Baron while this guy's up.
Yeah, you can throw it over, and this guy has so much objective control, turret control, dragon control, inhibitor control, Baron control. You can use your ultimate on the enemy team's jungler right as it's in smite range, whatever objective it is, and smite that away. Think of that, right? Then that turns the entire fight, because they've just spent the entire fight trying to get this thing. It's just...
If you consider, if you watch some of Monte Cristo's favorite League of Legends games of all time, if you went through a list of them, you'll find that most of them involve a very swift maneuver by a team into a better position that the opposing team cannot react to. Being able to pick one person off with anyone on your team, this guy to just throw down his golden passage and pull the entire team directly under a tower, take that tower, take the next tower and an inhibitor, all from one pick. Like, no other champion in the game has that potential. Like, this, just his R and his E, regardless of everything else that he does, those two abilities grant superior map control to any other champion I've ever seen released.
And that's why I think he's never ever going to be able to be balanced. He just offers, to me, the way his kit looks when you look at it, it's just, he's either going to have next to no damage on his Q, or next to no heal on his W, or else he is just going to dominate you.
But well, the thing is, okay, so most supports that's like AP supports that have this sort of level of utility usually either have a shield or a heal. He'd be one of the few that don't have either, and that's going to make him incredibly squishy. Because apart from the Zhonya's, which delays the inevitable. Like if you get caught out, you can Zonya yourself, but you're still dead. So he does have a heal. He has the shrines, but they're not quite
okay. Regardless of all that, like if you're talking about solo queue, this guy's probably going to be one of the worst options. Like a good team will be able to utilize him quite well, and a good player on this particular champion will be able to utilize the Baron control and all that sort of stuff that we mentioned earlier. But in professional play, this guy will reign supreme. This guy is going to be a god. Just like, because you don't need to worry about those poor laning matchups, because in professional play they deep ward, find out which enemy champion's going to what lane, and then lane swap to get your preferred matchup.
Yeah.
And you can
then
blind
Bard
them
benefits out of that because you can just roam the fuck out of
that's
everyone.
it.
Exactly. Like this guy in professional play is gonna just change. Like this is one of those champions that changes the landscape. Like a champion hasn't been this. This is even more powerful than Thresh when Thresh came out. Like
he can potentially
maybe
bring back single-handedly Alistair Jungle. He has that potential. He does. He actually does.
Yeah. I'm not gonna comment on the viability of Alistair Jungle because I haven't seen it enough to really have a knowledge base on it, but I wouldn't rule it out.
Yeah.
If this guy's as good as he looks in the little demos and and just preliminary look, this guy could break the game, like wide open.
I mean, I think even in solo queue, like, because he's a roamer, he can go and make an impact on each lane. So the main issue is that most marksmen are stupid and they're not cautious in any way, and they get caught out if you're not there for even like 2 seconds. Yeah. Apart from that, like he could actually, when you actually roam as a support, it's incredibly powerful. I mean, sometimes as Leona will definitely try and roam, and you go into a lane and you just like destroy because people just are not used to it at all. So I think it's one of those things that it's a sort of a double-edged sword. But I think even in solo queue, I think he could have a big impact. But you have to be better. Yeah, like you have to be. It's not one of those champions that's going to come easily.
Something I think this has sort of just occurred to me, so I need to play around with it obviously when the numbers and whatnot come out. But there is potential here for him to open up Yi as a solo lane with another solo laner, and then he roams constantly, because with Alpha Strike and the damage that it does, you could potentially instantly wave clear and then just back off. Screw that other minion. Yep, let them have it. And then Bard's constantly roaming and making pressure elsewhere on the map. That could be a potential strategy. Which is, there are some interesting combinations to come out of this, but at the moment, just his initial design and the way he's been put out there, he just seems to not generate the nicest game state for me. And I'm really, really worried about his balancing.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'm not sure that he'll go the way of, Master Yi lanes or Alistair jungles or anything like that, but just the way the game is played. Like, if this guy's on the field, you need to consider that if you're pushing bot lane and there's a fight, that if they kill one of you, they could Baron quite easily off that. That massive transport your entire team this massive distance ability makes taking objectives after fights so much better for whichever team has him.
All right, well, we need to
Fight
move on because we got
the
patch
options
5.
objectives if you do find the right initiate path as well. So
I still think Callista would have better Nash and Drake control than him, though. Yeah, as long as Callista's team
in
started
terms of
it, I
smite
think.
wars and aggression, absolutely.
yes,
But this is yeah, not so much on fighting the dragon, but more getting ready to take the dragon. Because quite often getting to those objectives or stopping the enemy team from taking those objectives is the real fight. The champions are another level of that same equation. So yeah, no, absolutely, Callista still reigns supreme there. If you can get both of them and you can lane swap, then your team composition is looking mighty fine.
Throw Bard in, Zonya's everyone. Get the whole team to just run up. While
I just can't wait. I can't wait till the casters have to talk about a 9-man Zonya's. Like, that's gonna be so funny.
Oh.
All right.
it's going to be a golden fight.
Oh, I
Does he
see what
Zonya
you did
himself?
there.
Yeah, he can Zonya anyone he hits.
Yeah,
Can
I think it's it's allies and enemies. They'd have to be bunched up, but yeah, as far as I'm aware, it's everybody that gets touched by it. So you could 10-man Zonyas and Baron or Dragon.
Alright, well. Interesting.
You know who
I'm-
really
I'm
benefits from
looking
this character's introduction?
Oh,
The answer is always Karthus.
forward. Oh, boy.
really?
Karthus is now the #1 pick into Bard, confirmed.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about patch 5.4 because we've gone for half an hour and we still haven't touched the patch notes because, God forbid, we don't actually talk about patch notes because then we'll have to talk about it next week. All right. Firstly, Azir bug fix, like always. Secondly, Janna. So Janna is her passive has been so she loses the benefit of her passive, and they've changed it so allies moving towards Janna get a movement speed bonus, and they've buffed the movement speed bonus and the range. So it's basically like the Captain's Enchant for boots, but the base passive movement speed from her W has been increased, so it's been actually over doubled for rank 1. So it's gone from 4 to 9 on rank 1, and rank 5 it's gone. It was actually, I think it's 5%, yeah, 5% across the board
At every level.
at every level. So there you go. Yeah, what do we reckon of this? I think
She's still good.
Yeah.
I think she might drop slightly out of favor, but I don't think so. One of the problems is that Janna can't really be at the front because Zed will just ult and start the fight and win.
yeah,
But
yeah,
so she does have that. So part of her advantage of her just being in the general area to give everyone movement speed is going to be lessened by that because it's only while people are moving towards her. I think this is actually going to raise the priority that's put on Severe rather than lower the priority that's put on Janice as much. So
I think if Janna drops it all, it's going to be what normally happens, where Nami comes back for a long time.
I mean, it's one of those
Worlds
things.
and then Worlds comes around and they're like, shit, how do we deal with the Koreans? Let's
Buff
get
Cork.
the monsoon out, boys.
Yeah, it's buff Corky. I mean, think about like her. I'm gonna take this Totoro hat off. Think about the way these passives work, where it's like, I mean, it's the same with Soraka. It's if you're moving towards an ally, even if it's only kind of in their general, like it doesn't have to be directly towards them. So it's one of those things that it's actually kind of. It's still quite powerful in certain situations. Like you think about a tower diving situation, like Janna's definitely not going to be going headfirst in a tower. So
Unless she's laying
just
with
basically anybody walking away from the tower is probably going to get the move speed buff, and now it's even better than it was. So
I guess this makes sense more in the disengage sense, because
Yeah.
if she's standing at the back, they get more movement speed going
Yeah.
to her and from further away.
yeah,
But tank Janna.
yeah,
Damn it, guys.
shut up, Rick.
damn, yeah,
Shut up.
that tank Janna meta, so gone.
The Meta Man is angry.
Yeah,
What? My role here is to point out things that potentially could happen, and then Steve's role is to shoot them down.
yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I like the change in the sense that
I
it's.
think I've done my job.
I mean, this reduces her power without really hitting her where she's solid. So that, I mean, that's the key thing. Like we get to Kassadin later on, it's a big nerf to his core identity, like to his core thing. By comparison with this, it's just kind of, it's sort of a little sidestep to kind of take away a bit of her power, but it still keeps the core, what she's really good at, still what she's really good
I
at.
think this adds to her disengage more than it takes away.
Well, I think that's part of the problem is that Janna's not being used primarily for disengage. She's being primarily used for her movement speed buff and her ability to throw out her Q near tower.
And split up a whole enemy team.
Yeah, and like that's what she's being used for. So I think this is definitely trying to get her back into the theme of she's the person that protects people, rather than blowing people over with wind gale.
I mean, it's a buff nerf. You know, it's
Exactly. Yeah,
I just hope Marta doesn't
Wouldn't
stop
have.
playing her.
yeah. Javan
Javan.
has had a pretty sizable change. So his base armor's gone up by 3, but he's lost the bonus armor off his E, which I mean, rank 5, I think it was about 30 armor. Like it was quite
22.
22, yeah. So
Still
pretty huge nerf.
it was 10 armor at level 1.
Was it 10? I thought it was 5.
Yeah, so he's now down 7 armor at level 1.
Yeah.
But it does. The important thing here is that the standard still grants attack speed, so it still has a buff on it, which is 22% at rank 5 and 10 at rank 1, with little bits mixed in there.
Didn't the standard also used to give another ability? I know there was another thing it gave going back like a couple of
gave
seasons.
him attack speed and armor, and then when he placed it, he gave the whole team armor.
Yeah, that's
sorry,
right.
attack speed.
Man, that would have been so freaking OP back in the day. Oh wow, how things need to change. Anyway, does this knock Jarvan off the, out of the top tier of the jungle?
No.
It just balances him in regards to everyone else.
Yeah, because at the moment, Jarvan is by far number 1. Like people have been talking about how
It's not
powerful
even
Rek'Sai is
comparable.
and everything. No, it's not. Vi has seen some Vi's seen some play lately, primarily because Kallista's so strong, and she's another one of those I click on you and I do things champions. So that's where her viability is coming from. Jarvan is just ridiculous. Yeah, I didn't even do that.
Yeah.
The sentence makes sense, damn it, it's not a pun. Anyway, Jarvan has been at the forefront because he gives you everything that you want from the jungler in the current meta. Gives you an attack speed buff to your entire team. He gives a ton of, he gets so much value out of that Demacian standard. Like the free stats that he gets, just amazing. He gives you early game pressure, he gives you mid-game team fighting, he gives you siege power. Everything about Jarvan is awesome, and it still is.
Actually, a lot of what Jarvan does directly helps his team. Like, even the Q, it doesn't penetrate armor, it reduces armor. So that's more damage for the team.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it just means that his early ganks are probably not going to be as amazing just because he's got a little bit less armor coming out, in the jungle, so he's going to have less health coming out of the jungle, which is probably not a bad thing.
In solo queue, I'd say yes. In competitive, I think his ganks are going to be more frequent. Because one of the tricks that Jarvan can do that not many others can do is that he can get just, one jungle camp, get level 2,
red, go
and
gank.
And gank. Yeah, and just kill someone.
Yeah.
And,
I've been doing it.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's ridiculously powerful. I mean, if you're
he's got it's what 10% of current health or maximum health. He does damage in his first attack. It's just
he gets his gap close and CC at level 2.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That's all the jungler needs, and his damage.
Yeah,
and you may notice that none of that is mentioned in the patch notes. So he still does that amazing stuff, and he still grants everything that I mentioned before.
Yeah.
But slightly less tanky.
Slightly less tanky at very early levels.
Yeah.
Who do we think's directly under Jarvan then? If we see more nerfs to him, who are the next ones up? Obviously, Lee Sin's the staple, so I'm going to put him aside.
I'd put Lee Sin at number 4 currently. We're getting distracted with jungle tiers.
No, that's alright. Go for it.
I would say number 1 is Lee Sin. Number 1 is Jarvan 4. Number 2 is 2 and 3 arguably could be Rek'Sai, Kalista. Sorry, if Rek'Sai and Vi, depending on if the enemy team have Kalista or not, and then Lee Sin sitting comfortable in number 4.
Now, because well, actually, I guess Scott's the theory man now. I've kind of lost that title, but
Is that a theory?
yeah, it's a theory. There we go. I got it back. We're in business. I actually think Nocturne is in the top group as well. I feel like he's got a lot of power, and I feel like he does.
The problem with Nocturne is Kalista.
Yeah, I was going to say, he does not deal well with Callista.
Yeah. And Devourer. He finds too much strength from Devourer, and Devourer doesn't work so well. And later on in this patch, they've also made nerfs to Warrior.
Yeah.
So.
Speaking of Callista, let's talk about her. So she's had a change. Callista's basic wind-up, the time between starting an attack and it firing, now speeds up at 66% of her attack speed instead of 100%. So essentially, she spends more time, attacking. And because she can't cancel her attack, she has to stand there for like 30% longer. Mm-hmm. So I think that's actually quite good. I mean, it's definitely going to hit her late game because she's going to be sort of... But I think that's good because when you actually see late game, she's just painful.
I actually think it's probably harsher in the early game because she builds so much attack speed that she has less of a wind-up in the late game. So, well, if she goes for like just a Runins and then Bloodthirster, that'll definitely hurt her late game. But if she's going Blade of the Ruin King and Runins, I don't think this is going to change her at all. I think she's still just going to just plow through people.
Yeah. I mean, it's...
Again, I'm not going to know until I've seen this one in action. This is very much a see it in action to make a judgment.
Well, I mean, it's just more of a case of, like, in the late game, she's going to be standing around for 33% longer. And that's a much bigger difference in... Like, considering that at the moment, in the late game, you get on top of her and then she's gone. Like, almost instantaneously. Like, she moves so quickly. I mean, you see, like, someone like Radia playing, she is not... I mean, a couple of weeks ago when he dodged, like, he just dodged them all forever. That's if you think he's another 30% of the time he's gonna be standing there. Like, that's actually a big difference in the late game when you're being chased. I mean, early game she's already pretty slow as it is. It is a problem, but I think it's in the late game you're actually gonna be able to pin her down. Where now you can't.
Well, as I said, I'll have to see it. Like, I really can't make a judgment just based on the numbers. I'll actually have to see where it actually hurts her based on her itemization and where in her build path, like, yeah.
Okay. Alright. Cassidon, big nerf incoming. Rift Walk. So the range has been reduced from 700 to 450. They've joked in the notes about it being a Rift Hop or a Rift Step. There should be like a music form called Rift Step. Like,
Rift Step. It's a dance style.
Yeah, it shouldn't be DJ Sona. It should be DJ Cassidon.
Ladies and gentlemen, we all take the floor for the Rift Step.
Yeah. That's it. And the base cost of the mana has gone from 75 to 60, which is a reasonably big deal considering that it doubled, or the accumulation factor of the multiple uses of the Rift Walk is that's gonna help. But still, big nerf. And it sounds like in the patch notes, like, with this change, we're still trying to preserve the dream, one might say a very difficult dream, of letting Cassidon keep his trade rank mobility. But unless he finds a specific flank or angle, yeah. So basically it sounds like it's possible that if this doesn't work, they're going to get rid of it altogether, which would be a huge thing. But not unmerited. Like, this is a brutal ability.
I've got good news about his mana costs, just real quick, because I got a calculator. At his 4th cast of it, he does not go over 1,000 mana for a cast.
Oh, isn't that lovely?
Yeah. Which was really annoying when you played Cassidon.
Yeah.
Oh, it costs 200 mana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
There's lots of thoughts. Like, I said this last week when we were discussing Azir, is that he's been patched so often and so much that it's actually hard to keep track of where he's at now. They've laid off the Cassidon buffs and nerfs for a while, so we kind of get an idea that he's still quite powerful. He's still a very good, what do they call it, a flex pick, so you can pick him top or mid lane, and he still performs well. So he's a good champion. He's picked in the first pick slot, or he's banned quite regularly in all the regions, and I think Riot are just sick of that. Like, they've tried so hard. They've done a rework. They've done 50 patches or whatever, trying to get Cassidon in the right spot, and they're like, look, just no more teleport. Just stop it. Stop being picked. We need to work this out, because Riot really want to keep Cassidon a fun champion. They don't want to make him toxic. They don't want to make him overpowered.
Yeah.
But pros keep finding ways to utilize him. And I think the Rift Walk changes, like, he'll still be able to do everything that he does in lane, and he'll still have amazing scaling, but his mobility, which is kind of his whole thing, like being able to teleport around and do all kinds of stuff, he'll still have access to that. But it's going to be, you have to be a little bit closer to that wall to make it over. You need to be in a certain position to get that gank. So,
and also, getting away is not going to be as easy. So I mean, that's one of the main issues with high mobility champions is they can get in, blow somebody up, and get away. And now he's not jumping as far. So
he can't jump. He can't even jump the range of an 80 carries auto attack. A standard 80 carries auto attack.
Is the only one that will not be able to hit him when he jumps away.
Wow.
So yeah, it's.
No,
yeah, I actually think this is a huge nerf. I mean, I can't imagine him being picked really at a competitive level.
Same as Warwick, this is just a straight up nerf, and I don't think Riot like doing straight up nerfs. I reckon they cry every time.
But they have to. I mean,
nerf.
It's such a good ability, and it's his problem. Like that is the thing that's completely cramping their ability to do stuff with him. Sorry, Scott.
You just said something. Gnar 80 carry.
No, I don't think he said that.
He said.
Wait,
He said.
His eyes are turning left and right guiltily.
I said because Mini Gnar is the shortest ranged champion in the game.
I don't think.
And we said 80 carries. Urgot's the only 80 carry that would be able to shoot him, and then you said no.
I was trying to make a comparison as to what his range is now on the jump, Scott. Why do you have to tangent this?
Because
you sound like a politician dodging the question. I agree.
No comments.
So would we
Search
have
my maths history?
This is a question specifically for you, Steve.
Yes.
Would you say Cassidy being strong now is mainly just because of the meta and what's being picked at the moment, or do you actually think before this patch comes out, he's just absolutely stupid?
No, I think he's just absolutely stupid. Like the itemization, like where items are gold efficient at the moment, fits Cassidy's kick quite well. And he has, like, up until now, he hasn't really been hit like Ryze has, because Ryze was basically just like nerfed off the map. Like Ryze was right on the edge of completely overpowered. He picked almost every other game and then just gone. You're not going to have your tanky bursty mages anymore. And
Cassidy's brothers till the end.
That's it. But Cassidy's been able to hold on, and he may even still survive this. It is a massive nerf, a massive nerf. But considering where he is on the actual power scale of fitting into champions and just the sheer power that he has, he may still be viable with this change. I don't want to say that he will be, because it could just well be enough to kill him. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see with that one. Like, to see if his win rates drop down to like 40% or something ridiculous, then he's gone. But if people are still able to utilize his kit the same way that they always have, and just they need to be smarter about rift walking, then he'll still be around. And with that, we move on to Katarina.
Yeah, let's talk about other bursty, annoying, highly mobile assassins. So, Katarina's passive has changed from scoring a kill or an assist will reduce the cooldown of her abilities to whenever an enemy champion dies within 3 seconds of Katarina dealing damage to them, her cooldowns will be reduced by 15 seconds. So, essentially, it's more immediate. Like, it has to be more immediate, the kills. Which, the only circumstance is, like, extended fights, when that's a thing. Otherwise, it's... the whole thing is she goes in and blows somebody up.
Sorry, they say it in the description. She's the deadliest pentakill on 2 legs. Pentakill implies she's getting all the kills. What does this change?
Yeah. Well, I think. There's a few. Probably some instances
in that rare case. Now, while she's running away, if she gets the assist, she can jump away.
It's not that rare. Like, how many times have we seen like a couple of stragglers in the fight while everyone's still dealing with the tank, and like a Jinx has hit a zap at max range and then chased it down while excited, killed him after about 6 seconds of a chase scene, and then Katarina just all of her
that's it
and everything. So, like, that won't happen anymore. That sort of scenario, which actually happens quite often. It's not. This isn't just a Jinx specific case. It's just the example I used. It does happen a lot. Like 3 seconds is a short time. Maybe not in Katarina reset burst party, but in like the really well coordinated team fights, that is quite a big deal.
It's just about as long as the Zonya's, just a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Or, some new Champions
boy.
Ultimate.
Yeah, that's it.
I did a Victor episode. I hate this champion so much. I did a Victor episode where I just sat there and screamed about how fucking stupid this champion is.
Man, I'm coming to your house to watch you do these episodes more often.
I film them. I film them on camera. They're on YouTube.
There's nothing
You can
compares
watch
to
me
live
sit
before.
there. I
want to come and watch you live.
I'll give you my address. I threw my hat across the room and ripped off my headset so I couldn't hear shit while I was doing it. And I just screamed about this champion because I am just sick. I am sick and tired of just seeing this champion. I've seen her go behind and then get a pentakill. Gone massively behind and then she just gets that lucky last second kill in the team fight that was sort of going in one team's favor, but one person got low, so fucking Katarina went crazy. And then she's dealing all this multi-target damage, which is stupid for assassins. Multi-target damage is very, very difficult to make healthy. You can have it where it's Katarina and she's killing everyone, or you can have it like Talon where he's sort of killing no one and maybe just his main target.
Just because I like seeing you angry with the meta shift towards Kennen becoming quite powerful again. AoE burst teams may be a thing again. That might bump Katarina's priority up just a little bit. I'm just putting it.
Will
out
it
there.
bump Misfortunes up? Because I can handle it. If
Because of the
my
sad
80
bullet
carries
time.
come.
What?
Yeah.
Lysandra.
Well, actually, can we just
No.
This is well, you've mentioned it, the perfect prime target. This is starting to become a thing, right? Have just sort
Is
of.
this another Scott
Oh look,
theory?
top laners are like super competitive. Let's just bring them down 3 notches. Oh look, the next guy is super competitive. Let's just bring them down 3 notches. Oh look, the next guy is super competitive. Let's just bring them down 3 notches.
Yeah, and then they do the opposite and go,
power
we're
creep.
removing Deathfire Grasp and making our god deal with it, which is.
I don't know if anyone saw the potential changes that they were proposing on the PBE, but they were even dumber. They wanted to up the resistances she get from Shumpo up to about 40%, which, if
Yes.
we remember, is old Alistair's first rank ultimate.
Yeah.
And then her Shumpo,
ability.
and then her Shumpo also was treated like a Yasuo E, where she could jump as many times as she wanted, but not to the same target.
Which is dumb.
She's ridiculous, and they took it down, and rightfully so, but I still tore Riot apart for fucking even considering that.
Yes.
They
the
just do
force
things
is
to
strong.
aggravate.
Yeah. Okay,
All right.
Sandra.
Yeah. Well, Zaddy just had a bug fix, so let's,
I don't think you hold up your end of the bargain, Karen. You're meant to keep these crazy people.
Well, I'm letting you guys off the leash a little bit. All right, Mordekaiser. So after Deathfire Grasp was gone, he had a big. Well, I mean, he's let's be honest, he's a crappy champion as it is, and then they took away about the only thing that was going for him, which was DFG. So they've had to fix him up. They've acknowledged that this is not probably a real fix. It's just tinkering around the edges before they actually figure out what the hell they're going to do with him. He took a massive base health regeneration nerf, like from 8.37 to 3.37. Huge. His Q now grants him 75 range for the attack, presumably when he triggers it, and they fiddle around the health costs. His W now grants this is the shield. It gives him the shield if he casts it on an ally as well, so that's kind of cool.
That's huge. That is a massive buff to his creeping death.
And any ally in Mordekaiser that have creepy death of them get a 60 movement bonus when they run towards each other, that's interesting.
It's like the opposite of those slow moon beach running scenes in movies.
All right.
Confused me at first when they were talking about moving towards each other, because they made it sound like they literally had to run towards each other. But Mordekaiser can get, I think what they said somewhere I read, a dive buddy. where he
Yep.
puts it on the dive person, and then he chases after them, and he will get the movement speed.
Oh, okay. So it's all right. I see. So it's basically like Janna's passive, but like on two
Yes,
people.
it's
Yep.
like a captain, but
Yeah,
on
okay.
the two specific
Well, like,
people.
if you consider putting Creeping Death on Zed, and Zed pops his ultimate, like you'll just get this massive move speed buff. Every single person that Zed's next to, which that's what his ultimate does, it gets you next to people. Everyone who's taking damage from that Creeping Death will be adding to the shield that Mordekaiser's using, while
Yeah.
he's also got the bonus as well. So, like, having that apply to two people is just like, oh, so he's got his weird spinning thing on. No, that's actually quite a big deal. And because they've changed the health cost on Mace of Spades and Creeping Death, it's going to be much less harmful to actually use these abilities and not trade.
And then the other change to him is his R. So he no longer gets a percentage of their attack damage and ability power. Now he gets a percentage of their health and their ability power.
Just weird. Like I read this before and I'm like, why would you like it? It's like it incentivizes you to use your ultimate on someone with a lot of health to get the
Or
benefit
ability
of that,
power.
or their ability power.
Yeah.
But if they don't have a high
So basically, you
ability
use it on Cassidon or Rise, and that's about it.
power,
And sorry, let me just finish. I'll just finish.
yeah, okay.
Fine.
Continue going through the ability.
Yeah. So enslaved champions now get a flat increase their attack damage as a instead of a percentage of Maud's total attack damage. So it's 25, 50, 100, which is, I mean, 100 damage extra is pretty good, especially since you're probably going to be using that the whatever it is, enslaved champion to attack turrets. I mean, that's kind of what happens usually. So that's a nifty thing. Go, Steve.
Yeah,
Now,
you,
I'm
you
not-
say that, but we've all seen the pentakills from the enslaved ghost champ.
Yeah, which
Stuff. I love those YouTube clips, and I'm kind of glad that Mordekaiser's got the buff because I want to see those again.
Yeah.
Like they've disappeared for like 2 years.
Now, it doesn't say what stats the ghost keeps. Does the ghost keep all of the stats?
Yeah, he keeps it like he keeps
Because
everything.
if he keeps all their stats, if you've grabbed hold of a 400 AD Draven and then just sent him through the whole team, you
Yeah.
bumped him up to 100 attack. You bumped up by another 100 attack damage.
Yeah,
when
yeah.
you've made him
Yeah.
a ghost. So you've just pulled a stronger Draven.
yeah,
The ghost stats are actually enhanced.
yeah.
Like they get bonus stats on top of their normal.
They just can't use their abilities, which is a huge
Your
thing.
carry is the best player on my team.
Yeah.
Well, that's Civ HD does the great one where they just feed the living crap out of a Caitlyn.
Win by feeding. I
Yeah,
love
win by
that
feeding.
video.
It's a great video.
Yeah, and then
Um,
they've
Are we
got
allowed to
what's
have
the other
area
one?
of
Yored.
defect? Are we allowed to have area of defect as our outro sort of music?
Yeah, we've done that before.
Let's
I don't
put
think we
AO
have.
let's put 6v4 on there.
Okay,
Your
alright.
carry
Oh
is
my
the best
god,
player.
that's so...
Except for me, of course. Now your voice is all screaming, Mordekaiser, Mordekaiser, take this creeping naughty scene. Now you are children of...
But you said-
Anyway, let's move on.
There you go.
Rengar, he's lost his bone tooth necklace. See you later. He joins
No, we are
Deathfire Grasp.
We are not skipping over this one. I'm ranting about this one.
Oh
I'm
god.
not skipping him. I'm just saying it's gone.
Yes.
It's joined the ranks of Heart of Gold, DFG, Force of Nature.
Philosopher's Stone!
Yeah, Philosopher's Stone.
Oh my god, I missed that item.
Ring of Innovation.
Do you guys
Okay.
remember the time when a Moo would just
Oh, no,
be
look at
like,
him in
yo, Philosopher's Stone, yo, Heart of Gold, see you guys in 60 minutes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, Steve.
Can
Go.
we just keep going
Okay.
like screw timers? Can we just keep going?
Yeah, let's
I'm
keep
having
going.
so much fun right now.
Excellent. No, for long-term listeners of the show, when they first changed Rengar, you'll remember that I made a really big deal about this just being a passive, but instead of being on the passive icon, it was on the trinket icon. Because even if you sold the trinket and bought another one, you still kept the stacks. Like, there was absolutely no reason to have it listed on the trinket. It was just like they wanted
I
to
actually
keep
think
it's
you
all the
can upgrade
bonuses
the
are
trinket as well.
yeah,
Actually,
like
you
you
can
upgrade the
upgrade
trinket, you could sell it, have nothing there, go out, get a kill, go back, buy a trinket, and you would still gain the passive buff. Like it made absolutely no sense for it to be on the trinket. And now they've fixed something that I was really passionate about back then, and I'm happy. And
Right,
yeah,
right. I've listened to you,
continue.
Steve. All right. Syndra.
Listen to me.
Well, it's probably worth mentioning. Oh, I guess it still works the same with On the Hunt. So anyway, Syndra, the width of her stun is now more reliable.
Oh, thank
There's
God.
maths, and they don't explain the maths. They just say there's maths because
There's maths.
reasons.
Hopefully we could just say it's wider and your experience will be more reliable.
Yeah.
That's well put, right? It's like
Yeah.
lots of
Well-
complicated math. Moving on.
When they, because I was playing around with a few friends, and a lot of them are actually big Syndra players when they originally made the nerf, and the guys that I was playing with were literally just like, I can't hit a stun. The orbs were actually, for the most part, I was watching them travel through people, and they just keep walking.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
that's
Many games, I've just kind of walked straight towards the Syndra. She's tried to stun me, and the balls would go either side. And it was like, oh well, you're dead. You know, what are you gonna do? You just happened to be not in the exact spot that you needed to be for those balls to connect. But
so
now,
I kind of actually want to see some sort of math on this, because that way we can actually sit down and go, oh yes or no, instead of it just
I
being
want
like
some
a.
comparison.
It kind of feels somewhere in the middle here, and we're not really sure. We don't have the math, you know. That's
I want
the
the
bad
units
part
because I
about
want to
this.
compare it to what it was, what they first changed it to, and what they're
Yeah.
changing it to now.
yeah,
Well, if they could
It would
just do
probably
that,
be
they
a-
probably would have. But they're saying it's complicated maths, and since they know about this more about this stuff than I do, I would just presume that it's complicated enough that it's not worth writing.
we'll give you some
Okay.
hope because it'll end up on the wiki after all the patch has been done, and you can find out and let us know.
Yeah. So it says the reason we say complicated math is because this spell operates on multiple targeting / collision radius checks, and explaining each one gets complicated. So.
Not
Yeah.
really. It's just like, oh, this.
Whoa,
one's
well,
in
hang on, wait a
this
sec.
area.
Are
Does it
you
mean
trying to
that
say to
that's-
Riot that you know more about their game than they do?
Well, maybe.
I am saying.
We're going to call this Scott-splaining, where Scott tells
I
Riot
understand more than
Yeah.
that.
exactly about their own game.
He's literally going, yes, this orb hit. Yes, no, it didn't. Yes, this. That's what the ability should be from a coder's perspective. But if it's not, I don't understand.
Can I just
Programming with Scott, she called this
That
programming
would be
with Scott. Anyway,
That would
coding
be the
with Scott.
simplest way to do it. Is to just at each step along it would be just to check. You do it with other abilities. Why the hell not?
Let me see. Who should I trust? Should I trust Scott, who,
You should trust me.
who, as far as I'm aware, doesn't have a job coding an ability ever? Or should I trust the massive team of people who work for Riot Games? Let me think about this. I'll get back to you.
Yeah,
Let's
it
see.
wouldn't
You
be
know,
that complicated.
Let's see. How many times has Ranconia stuffed up Cassidon?
Well, I wouldn't say
How
stuffed
many
up.
times-
The problem is actually Cassidy is too good. That's the problem.
that's it.
How many times
I think we
has
should-
Cassidy done it? Fuck Cassidy. How many times has Scott done a shit job making Nidalee?
All right, before we start piling into Scott, as much as he deserves it for Scott's
I want
playing,
to pile in.
let's talk about Veigar, because we know there's at least one person on this podcast who actually gives a crap about Veigar. All right, so again, a victim of DFG's removal. They've changed his kit, and I think it's all for the better. His Q now is a skill shot that passes through the first target hit and stops at the second target hit, which means you can farm with both, so it stacks his Q faster. It has an increased range to 850, which is pretty sizable, and a reduction by kind of a
Before you
fiddling
finish
with
that
his
bit-
cooldown.
Yeah. Before you finish that, I just want to point out that they change a lot of the mana costs in this, and they're all reductions. And I just want to say before we even get into it, they don't matter. He's never had a problem with mana.
Yeah.
Except at the very early levels.
Yeah.
All right, we've addressed that.
Yeah,
and
okay.
we're continuing
All right.
with Baleful Strike.
So the cooldown is reduced by 1 second at rank 1, but then it's increased by 1 at rank 5. So they've just kind of flattened it out a bit. His W, now, again, reduced mana. It's reduced cooldown at higher ranks. This is the big one. His E has gone from it appears instantly to having a 0.75 second delay. And the cooldown's been reduced, and the range has been increased slightly. And his R has its ability power ratio reduced, and the cooldown reduced by 10 seconds across the board. So most are little changes, except the event horizon is a huge change.
Yeah, I think with the exception of maybe Dark Matter, they're all pretty huge changes. Like the Baleful Strike, which for those listeners out there who are not familiar with it, is his Q. Previously, it was just a point and click. You would click on a minion, you kill the minion, you get a bit of ability power, and it also had a passive on it that if you killed a champion, you also got ability power as well. If you killed a bigger minion, you got more ability power. That's basically how it worked. Now it's a skill shot. That has the possibility of hitting 2 targets. That is going to make people who can hit skill shots in minion waves really good, because he's going to get twice as much ability power much earlier. So it's going to make him a bit better in the mid game phase, whereas previously you'd have to wait until after he's got 2.5 items before he starts blowing people up. However, with the change to his Primordial Burst, which is ultimate, he's got less ability power. Like, his ratios have gone down by 0.2. So it used to be 1.2, it's now 1-for-1.
Yeah.
That's still a good ratio.
Yeah,
As long as you're able to hit your Baleful Strikes in the laning phase with any kind of regularity, then this will still do a lot of damage. And it's gone down in cooldown, but without Death by his Grasp, you're not going to be able to 100 to 0 as reliably, like, especially with the prominence of tank stats and Warmogs kind of coming back into favor. So his ability to insta-kill people is going to be significantly less. Also, his ability to catch people with Event Horizons is gone down, because previously you'd press your E, a gigantic circle would appear on the map, and anyone who touched it was dead. That's pretty much it. You could pick one person out of that, they would toast. You'd put your Dark Matter down, and yeah, it was good. They would just toast. Now, the duration of the stun has not changed. That is very important to state, because now it has a 0.75 second delay before it appears. Now, when I first heard about this, I'm like, oh, Vigar is gone. You know, a 0.75 delay before getting his stun off is just going to wreck him. But then I thought about it a little bit more, and how many times I've hit the stun and been out of range for Dark Matter and had to move forward. Now, because Dark Matter's range is not as far as the outside circle of Event Horizon. Now, a well-placed Event Horizon, you can tell after you've cast it whether or not they're going to be able to escape the Event Horizon, and then make the choice whether to move forward or move back. Previously, you had to bank on, this is going to hit, and if it didn't, you were so far out of position with no mobility. So, this has the potential to be actually quite a big buff. But at the same time, I really did like that instant stun of an entire team.
Yeah.
So,
but it's so broken, you just can't. You can't have that. I mean, the delay on the Event Horizon is the same as Thresher's box. So, I mean, it's just. I mean, the days of anybody just 100 to zeroing any squishy champion under any circumstances is gone, and I'm glad that's been fixed about Vega.
But I do like that 0.75 second delay. You know if it's going to hit, you can move in, and now they're technically stunned for an additional 0.75 seconds, because you know that that's going to hit. And in that time, they've got nothing to do but try and wiggle out of it. And it generally doesn't happen. So, I think that's pretty good.
All those that are going to play Vega in top lane? Aye.
Oh, God damn it, Rudy! Get out!
Alright, Xerath. He's the maximum stun duration, or the stun duration of the maximum sort of range of his E has been reduced by half a second, which is pretty, well, I mean, it's pretty sizable, I guess. Going from 2.25 to 1.75. I mean, 2.25 is that's on the long length, that's quite a long stun, so.
Hooray! Koreans are going to stop blind picking him! That's exactly what that change is going to do. That's it.
Ranged R's 2.25 second fucking stun. That's almost as bullshit as Fear on Fiddle.
Well, if you look at it, like, Xerath really took over where Syndra left off. Like, Xerath was kind of being picked a little bit, but Syndra was being picked every single game in Korea, as you say, Rokunis. Because her stun was just ridiculous and very reliable. You could stun a whole bunch of people and then just insta-give them with your combos. Or, you know, with the follow-up from your team. Xerath would be able to stun, lay down his combos, and then pick people off with his ultimate. Now, he'll still be able to do that. But if the math people have done their work, then I think Syndra will be called upon more for the stuns than Xerath will be.
Yeah, because she can stun multiple targets for a similar duration is the point, yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
And also
And
she's
it'll
capable of doing
go
more
through
burst
units.
Yeah, I mean, Xerath
units as well.
Yeah, Xerath will still have his place because he still does have like the Twisted Fate ultimate style without the risk.
Yeah.
You know, where it can just pop people off from a distance, and it's probably still better than Karthus's ultimate, because it can hit multiple times with, you know, the AP ratios and just everything. Just whatever, you're not getting out of this. You've got 900 health, you're dead. You know,
Yeah.
So Xerath will still have a place.
You can still snipe.
Yeah, exactly, and that will still add a lot to team compositions. But the stun whack is pretty sizable, but
I don't know. I'd rather like to see Xerath. I like the fact that he's got a high amount of damage. I really, really like that. There's a lot of utility in the way that he can play around it. I don't like the fact that he has this stun, and I don't really like the fact that he has slow.
It's
I think
but it's
he's
the
just got
only
too
thing
much-
that if you took away those things, he would just be dead in every fight all the time. Like he
But
he has
the
no
thing. Then
mobility.
your positioning becomes so much more,
Yeah.
you know,
Well-
a target. And you actually see him when he was played in the LCS towards the end of last season, that he was actually sitting off the screen. No one could actually see him and just ulting. So
the way you can stop this entire conversation is just by going Vel'Koz. He does exactly the same thing that Xerath does, but without a stun. Like, he's a long-ranged mage capable of a lot of burst from safety, but he doesn't have a stun, so he's not picked. You know, he's got the same lack of mobility.
Also, he has to get a lot closer to do all the damage that he does. So
yeah,
Xerath, he
but
can't sit off screen. Xerath can
Still a
sit.
good distance, but not like
Yeah.
fucking 10 miles that way he's ulting.
Yeah,
Like,
oh,
the
hi
distance
guys,
on
I'm slowly
Vel'Koz's
pushing
stun...
top lane. Oh look, I joined the team fight.
yeah.
All right, well, let's move on to Zillion. I'm pumped about these changes. So his base armor's gone up by 2, another big deal. His attack range has gone down by 50, from 600 to 550. He has new particles, new ability icons, which is great. Okay, his Q. So happy about this change.
His basic attacks have new particles, so he's not
Oh yeah.
throwing a cog or whatever.
Oh, I don't know what the hell it was.
Or a mini clock before. Those were hilarious.
His Q is now a lobbed skill shot with a fixed travel time. The time bomb sticks to enemies and allies near it. If nothing comes nearby, the bomb detonates normally. When Zillion gets 2 bombs on the same unit, the first bomb detonates immediately, stunning all enemies in the area for 1.5 seconds. The time bomb delay has gone down by 1. The damage has been reduced by about 20 across the board. The range has been increased by 2 from 700 to 900. The cooldown's been increased at level 1, reduced at level 5, and the mana cost has been reduced across the board. I'm so pumped about this change. Like, I think it makes Zillion so much more interesting. I mean, that the fact that it was a targeted Q, like his Q was a targeted ability, was just boring as batshit. And now it's interesting to play with and interesting to play against. And the ability to do an AoE stun at level 1 is absolutely frigging monstrous.
No, it'll be level 2.
Oh no, it'll be level 2 because he's got to
level
reduce
2,
the thing. Yeah,
because
sorry.
you'll need your rewind.
Yeah, he needs a rewind. But yeah, level 2 AoE stun, huge, and the area of effect is actually pretty sizable. Like it's actually pretty darn decent. So yeah, I think this guy is going to be almost like the go-to guy for like level 2 engage.
I guess because you can do it from a range.
So talk about other things as well.
I've watched a few games of him just like PvE. He's a casting machine. He casts so much, like time warp. Like he's running, rewind, he runs it again.
Yeah.
And the cooldown isn't that long on it anyway, so he runs it again,
Yeah.
and he just time warp just gets absolutely spammed.
He's hilarious in ARAM. It's like all the mana in the world constantly rerunning. Sorry, forgot to mention his other abilities. Like I'm so excited about the Q, I forgot about the other stuff, which is also amazing because he's got CC, which he's never had. So the reduced these time walkers is now up 2.5 seconds at all times. It used to go up to 5.5 seconds, and that's like incredible slow. Anyway, the slow amount goes instead of 55% all the time, it's 40, 55, 70, 85%, 90%. And then the cooldown's 15 seconds, and the mana has been reduced massively, like 30 mana at level 1.
This actually brings me back to something that somebody taught me the other day. You can, if you get 1,000 AP, Janna's slow can hit 100%. At which point you literally just run on the spot.
Nice. Well, I mean, 99% up until now. I think the only person who had 99% was
To help people understand the
Thresh's
size
box.
of a slow 99% is, that's equal to Thresh's walls, is it?
Yeah, the first time it gets hit,
Yeah,
it's
box.
99%.
The first hit of Thresh's box, that's Thresh's ultimate, is the equivalent to his rank 5E.
Yeah. Considering that you could do this, like, if you... I mean, so you hit the 2 Qs. Well, you probably go Q, slow, rewind, stun, time, and then, like I said, stun for a second and a half, and then you hit them for a 99% slow. It's, like, just redonkulous.
I just want to point out the theme that's kind of coming in here. Like, they've reduced the damage, they've reduced the ability power of Time Bomb, but they've added a 1.5 second stun, area of effect stun. Time Warp, they've made taken the slow amount from 55 to 99 at max rank. Now, the stun on Time Bomb is 1.5 at all ranks. Like, it's not like it stuns for half a second and then at rank 5 it's 1.5.
Yeah.
Like, you could one hit wonder the Time Bomb, put a point in rewind, and then just max Time Warp.
Yeah.
So by level 9 you've got a 99% slow.
Yeah.
You've got a 1.5 second stun.
Because
That's amazing. This could be a support Zillion right now because
Yep. Oh, for sure.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
He's been played mid. He's been played
Yep.
mid because his damage is just completely outrageous. And
Guaranteed
he
damage
just,
too.
Yeah, and he completely shuts down assassins with his chrono shift.
Annoying nonsense.
Yeah, it's like, I'm glad you put all of those, like, every single cooldown you had into killing this guy.
Yeah.
I put one into it, and guess what? Undo. You know?
It's off
Granted, he
cooldown
still
in
does-
10 seconds.
Yeah. I mean, the cooldown of even of his Q level 1 is like, it's 2 seconds if you use rewind. So, you know, that's long enough that you can then put a second bomb on them. Now, it should put, the last change is that his R no longer is affected by his W, so you don't have to spam his W to reduce the length of his, reduce the cooldown of his ult.
Get to the end of this description and see
Yeah,
how that
so
doesn't matter.
Yeah. It's now the cooldown goes from 180 seconds to 120, 90, 60 seconds, which is
A chrono shift every 60 seconds.
yeah.
Think about that. That's when you're level 16. When you're level 16, you have a 60-second Guardian Angel that you can apply to anyone in your team. When the hell do deaths matter the most? At that time in the game.
Yeah.
When everyone's at
Yeah.
level 16, that's when that matters. And that is just crazy. Like, I know previously you were able to spam rewind and get it down, but he's a mage. Like, he's gonna be building cooldown reduction, whether he's played in the mid or in support. So, like, that 60 seconds is actually much less than 60 seconds.
Yeah.
It's about 40 seconds. Is that, would I be right to say that? Because
Yeah.
half of 30 is 30.
Something like that. Yeah.
40% would be about 40. Yeah, so it's a 40-second Guardian Angel. I reckon they should have downed the duration more, though.
With maths just like that, you should be redoing Syndra's E. I think that's...
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when that chrono shift lands on someone and you see them hourglasses around them, like a lot of us will naturally know, okay, don't hit that person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When's it running out?
Yeah.
It does run. It does run out in 5 seconds instead of 7.
Which is still a long time in a team fight to ignore a
But,
carry.
yeah, but it's you could. Yeah, but previously, if you were like if your AD carry's got someone out of position, like it takes about 3.5 seconds or whatever for that person to die, unless they're like a fed tank, like they've got a serious amount of armor and HP. So you could put that on them, and then the AD carry, who previously was in an amazing position, either has to kill that person and wait for the whole rebirth thing to happen, or they peel off and start attacking another person. Now they don't need to wait that extra 2 seconds to take advantage of the low HP person.
Yep.
Also, Katarina can now go in. You know, all the reset champions can take advantage of that. So,
Yeah.
Ray Cadius is just completely flabbergasted by that.
I feel like it should have been shorter just because it forces Zillion to use it at the last second, at the right time.
Kind of like
Because-
Trinity.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about jungle. So that's the last of the champion changes. Jungle items. Now the cost to change between tier 2 jungle items is 255 gold, which is not a big deal, but like not a large amount, but it's still.
This probably got the most talk on Twitter.
Yeah. Okay.
I know Doom Spike, I think his name is on Twitter. He's
Doom
gonna host
Spikeinator?
the awards soon. Yeah, he's a jungler. I guess that's why he's on the podcast now. Yeah, he was really up in arms about this. He hated it. I think he hated it because he's saying like, oh, we want to buff. I can't word right now. I'm really sorry. We want
yellow,
more,
blue,
we
or
want more,
green?
we want more diversity in the jungle. So let's add less diversity. I am between indifferent and in favor of this change myself. Because I never liked. I'm not a fan of the whole. All right, we're going back, and we're always going to get the Trailblazer because we can just swap it later. It just made Trailblazer seem like this completely trivial item that you like the old Yellow Ward. You have it at level 1 to 9, and then it's gone again. I just didn't like how it was just like this temporary buy thing when it had a role as it's that one you get when you want to double down on your farm, or if you're a tanky dude and you can't survive. I hope this means. This can have two effects. Either everyone sits on a Trailblazer forever, or now we start buying Stalkers and not getting Rangers at all.
But yeah, obviously that means that the diversity within the jungle is going to go down, so the champions that were having impact and had a viable path get into the game through Rangers Trailblazer and then into the Chilling Smite, it's no longer there. Why not just make, path them into each other, give them both, make it Rangers Trailblazer and then Chilling Smite from,
What if we just
Well,
got rid of Trailblazer and put it in all of them?
Well, actually, if you scroll down to the patch notes a little bit, they've nerfed Chilling Smite too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still doesn't make Poacher's Knife viable.
No.
No, and it'll take a lot to make Poacher's Knife.
Yeah,
viable.
there's no reason right now to go and just take all the other junglers' stuff, really.
Yeah. Like
yeah,
if
because the entire reason Poacher's Knife is not viable is it's a huge risk for so minimal reward.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get a nice gold spike, but the next time you go into the jungle, you could die.
I think
look,
to
you've-
make... Oh, sorry, I'll let you
Yeah.
talk. I'm being an
No,
asshole.
it's just like Chilling Smite has so much value. Stalker's Blade, so much value. Ranger's Trailblazer.
I
Why-
think to
no.
make poachers viable, you have to make the rewards from the jungle really weak and just absolutely kill jungler gold unless they get a poachers.
Yeah.
And then they have the equivalent of a laner's gold. Because
yeah,
they're...
then it'll be Nunu and like Blitzcrank
Shaco.
and Alistair, like just like it'll be either complete counter jungle gods or complete support champs coming out of the jungle, and
Hey, we might see Nautilus.
maybe.
Let's take
No.
the risk. I'm sick of Lee Sin and Jarvan and Wankers.
All right,
So,
sweeping lens. Now, I don't actually understand what the hell's going on with this change. It's got something to do with being 60 seconds on the cooldown. I'm not...
The tooltip's saying 75. That's
Okay.
That's
All right, so... Yeah, okay. All right, well,
So
basically
at
it's
level
60
I
seconds.
think the joke is 60 crossed out to 60, and that's their funny joke, but all it's done
Yes.
is absolutely confuse us.
Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
So basically, all that's happened is nothing has actually changed except for the tooltip.
Yeah, okay. Which they could have explained a lot more simply. It just... Yeah, anyway. Confuses
That's
the heck out
alright,
of me.
because next patch they'll update the tooltip for that patch note, and it'll
Yeah.
make more sense then.
Yeah. Warrior Enchant has lost 5 damage. Okay.
Yep.
Big deal.
That's it. Like it's
Chilling Smite's still really good. I would say, hang on. I'm getting
You've
confused.
gotten ahead of yourself.
Yeah, I got ahead of myself because that's why it confused me, because it's got the blue background for the Stalker's Blade, so that's why I'm getting myself confused. Yeah, Warrior. I mean, it's still got the cool... I think the key thing about Warriors, it gives you the CDR on top of another Brutalizer. Like, you can
Yeah, I
double
was
stack
gonna
the
say because
Brutalizer.
it moves
Um,
the unique passive from Brutalizer just into the stats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the Wrecker N thing, you know, double Brutalizer.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Is like when I'm getting ahead on Java and when I'm getting ahead on Vi, it's Warrior, Brutalizer, and then with Vi, then I go into a Trinity Force, or just to come in and like punch you hard, but then twice as hard.
Yeah.
Because
That's
I
why
have-
Wow,
my Talon jungle
A,
is so strong.
Sheen on top of all the double Brutalizer would be freaking nasty.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, expensive as all hell, but
Yeah.
nasty for damage.
No
When
tanky,
we get
just
to- when
you
we
just get one
10
punch.
minutes
You,
of the
you,
game, you're gonna win.
you ult in, you hit them once, they're dead, but then you're also dead. So
Yeah.
Unless
suicide Vi. Okay, Smite. They've changed the range so that it's like instead of going from middle of champion to middle of champion, it's like edge of champion to edge of champion. So basically, it's monsters aren't changed, but you have to be close of about 175 range against champions, which is, I think, that's probably a really good change because then you have to commit more to a gank. You know, it gives somebody a bit more time to get away because you have to chase them a bit further. So I think it's nice. Without actually changing the slow or anything.
And massive nerf to Karthus. Revive has
Yeah.
been removed from the game.
Here we go. No, it's a nerf to ARAM.
Always miss you.
Sing it.
Revive.
We really won't.
And I will
Okay, I'm gonna mute you guys if you keep
Our
singing like that.
listeners may
I have
be
the power,
thinking,
just so you know.
Scott, shut up.
Not the podcast.
Scott, I'm done singing. You can stop singing
I'll
now.
kick you out of the call, bitch. Don't make me.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
This-
the
I'm just
reason
gonna
this
say-
didn't happen
Okay.
earlier, is because Revive was used as a core summoner spell in Dominion. But now the
Yeah.
Revive aspect has moved to the Soul Anchor,
Yeah.
which is their trinket in Dominion.
Hang on, what's Dominion?
We don't have it in Oceania. That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Oh, in Oceania. I don't know what that
So,
is.
That's the reason Revive is gone now because the only place that Revive was used doesn't have it anymore.
It was broken in ARAM. It was so much fun. It was on like a 20-second cooldown. Revive Teleport was like just
Earth.
nasty.
Earth
So
mode.
nasty, yeah. It nerf.
Nerf.
What did I say?
ARAM.
Yeah,
said
sorry.
ARAM.
Earth mode.
Did you skip the ZZ portal, by the way?
It did.
Oh, do we care?
Oh my god.
Void
my
spawns
god.
are more intelligent. Well, I noticed this. I put a void gate in that little blue buff bush with the intention of it running to the nearest bot lane turret, which is the inner one, one
bot
directly
lane?
after for the bot lane.
Yeah,
I put
in
in
the
that
bot-
little blue buff bush, and I'm like, all right, that's gonna run out there and hit that. It went all the way past woods into the mid lane, and then tried to
Wow.
run to the inhibitor turret.
Okay. That's pretty dumb.
It was
So
a
slightly-
stupid distance, and it died. It died the second it got into the lane. The second it made it to the lane, it had run out and died. So these just useless things were just running around, dying.
Hey.
You know what the problem is still,
they were
though?
giving you Vision, calm down.
It's still a shit item. I still can't think of a time where I'd actually want to buy that item. But anyway, that's just me.
It's a
Um,
generational item. Come on, give
I
it a break.
think they should make the minions permanent and still have the explosion on the turret. Like, when they get to a turret, they still explode on the turret. But
Well, then you just place it in your base on your fountain,
Yeah.
and it would never, and you would never be able to kill him. You'd always have an extra minion
But it has
running
a
down the lane.
timeout.
Yeah. But the
That's the
and
thing.
the enemy champions would just have way higher farm scores than you. That's how that ends up. No, I quite like the Zerot portal, putting it in the jungle, providing you vision, and it run like as you tried to do, putting it in the jungle and having it provide like just a constant line of refreshing vision as it runs towards a tower. I like that kind of application of it, and also if they don't notice it, then you can kind of use that explosion to push the wave, and you can kind of sneakily take a tower if you're applying a lot of pressure elsewhere. We're yet to see it in competitive play.
it's not going to happen in competitive play.
Yeah, I don't think it will. There was potential when it first came out for it to be picked, but it just hasn't worked out to be as good.
It's just the minions are too short-timed.
Yeah.
If you give them... Like, the entire purpose of the item is to monster wave and push somehow along that path, right? But it's
And
not
it appears bannering a cannon minion just does that better, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Because they're permanent.
It's one minion buff though. You can just do Cloud9's tactic where they defend the
But
that one cannon.
If you buff it and you buff it at your base and it's running into a wave right at your base, and then it runs all the way up. Think about the monster wave when it reaches the enemy nexus.
Yeah. The other thing about the banner though is that it blocks all magic damage, and we're in a double AP meta at the moment, where there are a lot of APs like Lissandra being picked in the top lane, as well as whatever's in mid.
Yeah. Like, I think it was Cloud9 that ran Banner of
That's
Command.
what I said.
Yeah, it was?
Yeah, I said before, because they ran this strategy where they bannered up a cannon, and they all just stood around, like, someone, like, I think Sneaky blocked, like, tried to block an entire, like, Lucian ultimate just to keep the thing alive.
That's pretty awesome. It's a great use of a very otherwise underutilized item. So, and yeah, maybe Zero Up Portal will do the same at some point, but not very likely at first glance.
Could you imagine if CZ and Banner of Command work together? That would be great.
Just make that.
Get them all. Get them all.
Did you guys read the minion change? Like, there's a minion change in these patch notes.
No, I skipped
down
over
the
it.
bottom. Yeah.
Oh no, wait, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I noticed it.
Animation.
Yeah, melee and caster minions now have 4 different animations based on how they die. And the quote is, turns out we had this in our files for some time, but they weren't hooked up. Now they are. So, whoops.
Yep.
We were meant to have all these death animations previously. We got them now.
Also, just before we wrap up, because we've been going for quite a while, just want to make mention of the Joker Katarina splash. Now Katarina's face looks like she's the Joker, with the green eyes and the shape of her face and everything. It's just like Joker from Batman Arkham. So
really,
yeah, and her smile.
You're not going to talk about Tristana's legs. You're going to bring up
Tristana's legs. I actually haven't looked at the new Tristana.
Look at the new Tristana splash art. Look at her legs.
She does have really weird ankles.
What the hell?
At least she doesn't look like she's something out of Toy Story, so that's good. They've toned down the purple. But yeah, I actually like a current splash. I don't think it looks that weird at all with the new model. Like everybody's like, oh, it doesn't look the same as the model. And I'm like, it looks pretty close. Anyway,
I'm very interested to find out what story is happening behind Tristana there. Like, you can't see it in just like her player shape file, but if you look to the left,
there's a freaking city that's burning.
Yeah,
awesome.
Exactly. Like explosions. Like, it looks like she has jumped from there all the way down to where she is.
Yeah.
And that's why her ankles have been completely destroyed.
I'm surprised Ziggs is not there on his knee proposing to her.
No, man. Rumble's the one that's in Tristana.
Is he? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever.
His machine's even named Tristy after her.
Yeah, there you go. All right, well, anyway.
Twisted Fate have a similar arrangement with Destiny.
Boy.
Okay,
Boy.
whatever.
Thanks for that, Steve.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it for that patch 4.5. We have actually a question from Gav.
Wait. I think we have a more important question from Cyanide in the chat. Can we talk about Rich Gang?
Yeah, they lost both games this week. Good job, Rich Gang.
Rich Gang!
Ryan, I refuse to talk about this Rich Gang.
Alright, well, Cyanide should have been here earlier, like an hour and a half ago, when we talked about it. Alright. That's, I think that will do it for this week. Thanks everybody for joining us. Don't forget, Battle Arena's on tomorrow. Actually, so do you guys have any final words before we wrap up?
Happy birthday to Mitch.
Oh
Okay.
it's Mod Bro's birthday, and
yeah.
also Jason from Duo Q. You know that guy? It's his birthday as well. They share the same
let's
birthday.
do.
Happy birthday to them both.
So, shout outs
Happy
to you,
birthday.
the birthday boys. I sent them both skins.
Ah, you're a good friend.
Did they get Pulse Fire Ezreal?
No.
That would be an unfriendly thing.
I think actually no. I gave Mod Warring Kingdoms in Italy, and he sent me a message. He's like, "How did you know?" And I'm like, "What do you, well, Skype told me it was your birthday." And he's like, No. How did you know? I was just working on my Nidalee rune pages."
I didn't. Alright. I think we're ready, Karen.
Yeah, okay, well, next week, DJ Soda's coming out, which I'm stoked, but we'll talk about that next week, because, because reasons. because we want to see it in game. All right, well, that's been episode 76 of the OzLoL podcast. I'm Kev Cross, as I've been joined by Scott, Steve, and Victor, and we'll be back again next week.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.